And yes, it didn't happen. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the How Can I Support My Child series. I'm so excited because today we went live and we are showing on all our platforms. So, yes, I'm excited. Good evening and welcome to the show. If you're here with me, please today don't stay in the background. Make sure that you are in the comments. Let me know that I've got you with me on the stream. All right, if you're joining me on Facebook, on Instagram, no, not on Instagram. If you're joining me on Facebook or on YouTube, let me know that you are with me on the show. It's the How Can I Support My Child series. That's series that we come and we talk about the questions that parents ask us about parenting. Parents ask us questions every time. How can I do this? How can I do that? Coach, you said this. How is it possible? All right. So instead of answering these parents one after the other, we just come here and we throw the question on the floor and we deal with the question in this 20 to 30 minutes show. All right, so today the question we are answering is, how can I support my child when I am not a teacher? All right, I have heard parents say it all the time, how they cannot work with their children. I cannot do it. All right, I cannot support my child. I cannot do homework. I will finish them. I will beat them. Some people will even go the extreme of saying I'll kill them. I know they don't mean that, but hey, it just shows how parents dread the whole idea of having to work with their children. And that's because a lot of times when we talk about supporting our children or working with our children, the only thing that comes to mind is working with your children to excel in school. Parents, you need to remove that. You need to stop putting a ceiling. All right, you need to stop putting a ceiling on how much, I mean, the capacity that you have and how much or how wide your support, for your child can be. All right, so welcome to the show. All right, I want to say this to you. If you haven't heard it or heard me say it before, you are your child's first and most important teacher. Dear parents, you are your child's first and most important teacher. So do not say, I cannot support my child. I cannot work with my child. I cannot do this for my child because I am not a teacher. No, you are a teacher. In fact, it is said that in some, sorry about that. It is said that in some culture, right, the word teacher and parent means the same thing. So yes, dear parents, you are your child's first and their most important teacher. So don't reduce or limit your support to your child, right? The support you give your child, please don't limit it to math and science, English and geography. Don't limit it to that. And yes, who says that you cannot teach your child? All right, who says you cannot even help your child excel in math and geography, physics and chemistry? All right, so today we're going to be looking at how you, who is not a teacher, can support your child, whether or not you are. All right, so a lot of times, when when I say my children don't do lesson teachers, my children have never had lesson teachers per se, right? So what we do is we scaffold our children, we bring people to support our children whenever they have anything that they're struggling with. All right, so that's been the system for me all this while. Our son is in year 10, right? That's a typical SS1 class. All right, so our son is in SS1 and he's never had a teacher for longer than 2 months. He's never had a teacher for longer than 2 months. In fact, he's never had one for longer than 6 weeks. Most times, like extra support in any way, apart from coaching, like tennis, football, and all of that, right? But when it comes to academic support, he's never had an academic support, a tutor, teacher, extra, all of that for more than 4 to 6 weeks. That's the highest he's had. All right, but when it comes to mentors, he's had mentors since he was 7. He's always had a mentor. All right, and I'm going to be sharing with you why we would have our children have mentors for the longest time, and we have them have lesson teachers only for the shortest time. All right, I'm going to be sharing that with you. All right, so why do you as a parent qualify to support your child? Why do you qualify to be called a teacher? And this is not to reduce the place of teachers, please. Okay, this is a disclaimer. I'm a teacher myself, all right? So this is not to reduce the place of a teacher at all. Teachers are amazing. They are some of my favorite people, all right? I do not have any form of disrespect for anyone who has taught or is teaching my child or any of my children. If you meet any of our children's teachers, you would know that I am someone who loves and respects them totally. So this is not to trivialize the role of your teacher. Yes, do not support your child's limits the support that you can give your child. All right. So, yes, number one is you actually are the most qualified person to teach your child, because children learn, or people learn from people that they connect with. All right. So, by virtue of this, you are the best person to teach your child, because by virtue of you being their parent, all right, and if you are an amazing one at that, right, then it simply means that your child, there is already the connection between you and your child, because that one came naturally. First of all, you birthed this child. You are the first environment, the first person, the first world that the child knows, isn't it? So you are the first person. You are the one that that child has developed an attachment to. Now, if you are intentional enough as a parent, you understand how to maximize this role in the life of your child. You know how to harness this, this blessing that God has given to you, all right? The position that you hold in the life of this child, then it means that you will maximize it, and you will help that child develop the best kind of attachment, a secure attachment, an attachment where you have been there for the child, always there for the child. We're not talking about secure attachments today, so I'm not going to go into that. All right, but we are going to be dealing with that in the month of October. We have a course, right, that we run in October for parents of toddlers. So if you're a parent of a toddler, or you are someone who knows people who are parents of toddlers, all right, share with them and let them keep their eyes glued here, because from time to time we come in here and we do something for toddler parents, because, or parents of toddlers, because we love this group of parents, right? Because the children we work with move from being toddlers to coming into our system. So we want to make sure that parents of toddlers are doing the right thing, so that when the children come to us, the work is easier. We can we can just connect with where they stopped, and we can take it from there. All right. So the more intentional you are as a parent of a toddler, the easier it is to support your child when they become school age children and preteens. All right. So yes, if you have understood your role as a parent of a toddler, then you must have dedicated or focused, right, mainly or majorly on building the right kind of attachment with your child. You would have focused on ensuring that you build trust, ensuring that your child, knows that you will always be there for them. Okay, you would have raised the child at that point, to the point that the child knows that it is okay for them to make mistakes. It is okay. You trust them to go, you trust them to play on their own, you trust them to do certain things. All right. And yes, even if they fail, you will always be there to support them. All right. So when you have this kind of relationship, when you connect this big with your child, what it is, it builds trust beyond every other thing. So your child is not afraid to try, because your child knows that you are their biggest cheerleader and you are their biggest support. All right. So your child is not afraid to try. Your child is not afraid to try things. So when children are like this, then you see that they can explore, and they can go out there and discover their world, right? They're not afraid to go and discover their world. They're not afraid to explore. They're not afraid to be everything that God has created them to be, because they don't feel limited. They are not caged, right? And of course, they've been given, the assurance that I trust you. I mean, we are modeling to you, we're loving you. And so, yes, the world is your stage. Trust on it, discover it, have fun, and all of that. So when you do that, you're raising a child whose confidence is here. You're raising a child with a good self-esteem, a child who knows how to trust, the child who feels safe, the child who feels, safe in your home and in your environment and in your presence. You're raising a child who is stable, right? And so that is it. So if you are this kind of parent, so that first thing that is needed for a child to learn is to connect with the person that they are learning from. And by virtue of you being their parents, that is sorted. So yes, you are actually the best person to teach your child. Secondly, you are the one who knows your child better than any other person does. So by virtue of this, you also qualify as that person who can teach them more than any other person can teach them. As their parents, in the first 1-2 years of your life, their lives, you should have started noticing what your child is interested in. You would know the times that your child loves to learn the most. You will know how your child learns the most. You will know what your child's love language is. What makes your child happy? What makes your child unhappy? So nobody else knows your child as much as you know the child. And do you know that as an educator, as a teacher, you can support the child better when you know the child. You can support the child better when you understand the child. You can support the child better when you understand the experiences, right, and the dynamics, right, from where the child is coming. So that's why even when you take your children to psychologists, or you take your children, who need support or help, right, from people who are not their everyday, teachers and all of that, they usually would take you through a process where they are trying to understand where the child is coming from, and they are trying to understand the prior experiences that the child has had. Okay, I remember in one of our courses where we had a psychologist, a clinical psychologist come in. It was, I can't remember what course was that. Okay, it's a course we used to run in the past, right. It's a course we run in August, right? It's to help children rebounds. Yes, it's a rebounds retreat. All right, so usually we offer the course for children who have gone through some sort of failure, or feel that they failed and it is affecting them negatively. Sometimes children who have done badly in school, children who are struggling with one social anxiety or the other, or children who are not just happy in school, or children who are withdrawn and all of that. So we have this course, we call it the rebounds and rebounds retreat. And in that retreat, we have like a full clinical psychologist with us. And I remember one of her sessions with the children, she actually sat in there just listening to them. Before then she had a session with their parents. Basically, she needed a background. She needed some background, right? She needs to know where the children are coming from. She needs to know, their prior experiences. She needs to know some of the things that the children have possibly gone through, right? That could be the root cause of what it is that they are dealing with right now. Parents, the time that your children begin to manifest certain behaviors, if you go and you look at it, it's not the time that behavior or whatever has caused that behavior started. Usually, the thing that has caused it, the causative, whatever it is that has caused that behavior, is something that could have happened years before, months before, and all of that. So every time you jump in to deal with the symptoms that you are seeing, all you are doing is you are just doing, brigadier approach, or you are just doing, you're just doing instant repair. The rot is still right in there. So those who are professionals do not do that, sharp rot covering and dealing with at the top. They go back down to the roots and try to find out. So yes, you are the person who knows the child that's deep. You are the one that knows the experiences that the child has gone through, where the child is coming from, what could be, the reason why the child is struggling with something and all of that. So yes, you qualify to be a teacher to that child. Number 3, you are the parent of this child, so you are the one who has the vision of what it is that you are raising, or where it is that you are raising this child towards, or what it is that you're raising this child to become. All right, your child's teacher has got the vision for that school year, has got, basically basically a scheme, and what's the learning objectives, or what it is that is the objective for that school year, right? So that's all that the teachers had. I mean, the teacher has, right, at the beginning of the school year, depending on the kind of school, or facility where your child goes to. It depends on how they are even focused in that facility. So they probably will have a theme, or they have a vision for that school year. And as a teacher, the teacher probably has, where he or she wants to take her students to at the end of that school session. All right, so that's it. The term, the plan, or whatever, the vision that the school has for your children are usually short term, right? Usually short term. The teacher is with the child for just one school year, and that's about it. The school has the child for just one school year. I mean, for the period where they're in school. Some of them don't even finish with one school. They go to about 2 or 3 schools before they graduate from secondary school. So yes, if there's anyone who's got a long-term vision, or should have a long-term vision, then it is you, the parent. So you are the one who knows who God has given you to raise, and you are the one who knows the mandate. You are the one. I mean, God will not just give us children if He thinks that we cannot raise them. So He gives us children knowing that we can raise them, and He is trusting us to come up with a plan, right, that will support this child, to help the child become the best version of themselves, and help the child fulfill the purpose for which He has created them. So yes, you are the one who has been given the assignment. You are the one who has been given the mandate to support and guide and be custodian of the destiny of this child. So if there is anyone who should be creating a path, if there's anyone who should be creating a template, if there's anyone who should be creating a blueprint for this child, then it is you. So you are the one who knows that blueprint. You are the one who knows the child that you are raising. You are the one who knows what kind of family that you are building, right? So yes, you are the one who knows where the child should be going to. So yes, you qualify to be a teacher, because you are the one that knows the end. I mean, we don't know the end, God knows the end, but basically you are the one that has the blueprint, and you're the one who knows where it is that you are driving towards, right? So yes, these 3 reasons, if nothing else, these 3 reasons should tell you that you qualify to raise your child. I mean, to teach your child. Let me add a 4th one, right? You are the one who knows what kind of mindset you want your child to build. You are the one who knows what kind of human being you want your child to grow up to be, all right? And the kind of mindset, the beliefs, and of course, the convictions that you want them to have, or the kind of mindset, the beliefs, and the ideology that you want to pass down. You are the one that knows the legacy that you want to pass down to the children. So yes, who better to teach, right, the convictions? Who better to teach their convictions to the child than you? So dear parents, you qualify to be a teacher. You do not have to go to TTC. You do not have to go and do a diploma in education. You do not have to have a master's degree in education to actually teach your child. You qualify to teach your child. And yes, there's so many ways that you can teach your child, because education is actually the transformation of a human being, right? By passing knowledge, right? By passing knowledge and wisdom, from you to that person. All right. Education is a transference of legacies, is a transference of knowledge, is a transference of, of convictions, basically, is a transference of all of these. And of course, with all of this, the child becomes transformed. All right. So, yes, you have all the rights in the world. You have all the rights in the world to raise your child, and, of course, to be your child's teacher. How can I support my child when I am not a teacher? That is what we are talking about today. All right. So now, how do you go about this? Now that you know that you are qualified to teach your child, how can you begin to go about this? It is because we know that we're qualified. That's why we're beginning to have more and more parents who are becoming homeschoolers. Yes, more and more parents who are beginning to homeschool their children. When I homeschooled my child for 2 years, it wasn't because I was a teacher. It didn't come from the place of, oh, I'm a teacher, and so I can teach her better than her teachers in school. That's not where it came from. It came from the need that we had at the time. All right. It was a need we had at the time, and there were gaps, right? There were gaps, that our daughter, we had seen in our daughter, and I knew that there was nowhere where those gaps could be dealt with, okay, as much as we could deal with them at home. All right, so there was the place of school and all of that. As I said at the beginning, this is not to reduce or trivialize school or trivialize teachers and their role and all of that. All right, their role is beautiful, their role is important, right? But that doesn't stop you in any way, dear parents, from being able to teach your child. All right, so first thing first you want to do, right, now that you know you're qualified, is you want to make sure that learning is positive in your home. All right, so there is a positive behavior towards learning in your home. So in your home, make your home a place or a hub for learning. When I walk into your home, let it be obvious to me that this place is a hub for learning. The kind of things that go on in your home, the way you structure your environment, the things that you have in your environment, the content that are always present in your environment will tell if, as parents, you see your home as a learning ground for your children. I say this to the people who come to stay with me, my nieces when they come, and other people who come around. I say my home is a training ground. My home is a learning hub. All right, so you can't come into my space and you think you can dress as you like in my space. No, that's your autonomy and your freedom, right? You can keep it. Keep it for when you go to your space. In my space, there is a curriculum. In my space, there is policy. In our home, there are ground rules and there are guiding principles. So yes, our home is a learning hub. So when you come into our home, we don't just drag you and force you to do the things that we do or be a part of what we do or tell you you can't do certain things in our home. We help you understand why we do the things that we do, because our home is a learning hub. And if you come in there, you should learn. You should learn and understand why we are or why we do the things that we do. All right. So there should be a positive approach to learning in your home, right? As a parent that wants to teach your child, there should be that air in your home where the children know that learning is a big deal in this home. You want to create learning out of every experience, okay? You want to create learning from experience, random experiences, create and seek out the learning points from every situation. All right. Create a system in your home where you read books together with your children. When you do this, you are actually building a learning experience. All right. At every point in our home, we have a book that we are reading with the children, that we are sharing with the children. We call it shared reading. All right. So we read these books together. All right. And then we share perspective because we want our children to know and to embrace the gift of perspective. Let them know that we can all view things from different perspectives. This is a good way to teach your children how to respect other people's view and how to accept that people are different and that there is diversity in the world. Many times we raise children who are so stuck in their ways and become fanatical about the things that they believe in. All right, we are not saying shift your beliefs or anything like that. We are saying understand that your beliefs are yours and that other people have theirs. All right, why they cannot convince you to change yours, it is your place to respect that they have theirs also. And so you can draw the lines between disrespecting people and becoming fanatical about the things that you believe because this is how you see it. All right. So we always say to the children, views are different. They can be different. Learn how to, take your point, send it home, and pass it across to the next person, and that's about it. And allow them have their views and share their own opinions also. So we start teaching them this by sharing perspective when we read, so that we read a passage together, and everyone is drawing a different light or energy from that passage, and they're sharing it. So let your home be that kind of environment. Let your home be an environment where they come in. Okay, let's see the things around your home. Let it show that, okay, we are big, about learning. All right, your children are 4, 5, 8. Do you have encyclopedias in your home? Are your children diving and digging in? Your children are 8 and 10. Are they into research? If you are in your home and your children are not constantly saying, I read this, I found this when I was reading this, or the other day I was researching this and I saw this. If this is not the language that your children are speaking, then there's something that you are not doing right. It means that your children are not loving reading, or your children are not loving to learn. Okay, when children love to learn, you will hear it in their conversations. You will hear them trying to find out results, or find out, solutions to the problems that they have, or the things that they do not understand. They go out of their way to research and do all of that. Do you have books around you? Do you have things, that can help your children exercise their brain? Do you have brain teasers all around your home? If you have brain teasers, do you play board games together? Do you tease? Do you have all of these things that you do together? Do you paint together? Do you color together? Do you have times where you sit down and you watch a movie together, and you sit after that to review the movie together? What are you doing with your children? Do you teach them social graces when you sit down to eat? Do you teach them how to do you teach your children etiquette and social graces? Now, all of this learning and all of these things, as they go on in your home, it becomes obvious that your home is a positive place for learning. All right. So yes, that is one way that you as a parent can be a teacher, by ensuring that you create an environment in your home that is stimulating and that is positive for learning, and that anyone who comes into your home will know that you are positive about learning, and it can be felt in your children. Anyone who meets your children will know that your children are lovers of knowledge. All right. Number 2 is you want to instill discipline in your children. You want to create a system in your home that helps your children learn and practice discipline. So you want to have a structure in your home that promotes discipline. And what is discipline? Discipline is knowing what to do and doing what you need to do without people dragging you or pulling you. Discipline is integrity. You have the integrity to know that I said I'm going to do this, and I actually saw it through and I did it. Do you understand? This is discipline. When your children know that, oh, there is time for watching TV, and there's time to stop and do your homework, and there's time to have, when your children have that routine and they master or they start learning, right? They have their routines and they learn how to transition from one activity to the next activity. This is you helping your children develop discipline, or building discipline in your children, or instilling discipline in your children. Dear parents, when you are doing this, you are already teaching. You are a teacher. What do you think the teachers are doing when it's time for the children to move from one class to the next class? They are going to the art room, or they are going to ICT lab, or they're going to, they're moving from their class to the next class, and the teacher has a system where the children line up in a file, and then the children have to put their hands on the next child, or whatever it is, whatever system that the teacher uses. And then you see the children file out, and you see them walking, down the aisle from one class to the next class, orderly and all of that. What do you think the teacher is doing? The teacher is teaching the children discipline. And who says that you cannot replicate this in your own way in your home? So while you're doing this in your home, come on now, you are teaching. What do you guys think, even when you say teaching? What do you think it is? You think it's only in the what do you call it? You think teaching is only in knowing the methodology, or knowing the how to pass down concepts to your children? Who told you that that's all teaching is? All right, there's much more to teaching. Do you know classroom management is a huge part? It's a huge thing in education. classroom management. Do you know that a teacher who knows how to manage her classroom has children who do exceedingly well more than a teacher who doesn't know how to manage their classroom? Do you know that when you have a teacher who has mastered classroom management, that teacher can get the children to effectively learn in a 40 or 50-minute period? Yet you have a teacher who hasn't mastered classroom management, and the teacher will teach a class for 1 hour and the children do not gain much from it because the classroom management strategy that that teacher applies is poor, and so it stops children from learning. Do you know that a teacher can be in a classroom addressing all the negative behavior in a 50 or 60 minutes class and ends up passing real knowledge to these children only for 20 minutes just because the teacher doesn't know how to manage their classroom? So yes, parents, when you create those systems and your structure in your home and your children get into those routines, what do you think you're doing? You are managing your classroom, you are managing your environment. And when you know how to manage your environment, you know how to manage your room, your children learn effectively and learning is more productive. All right, so that's the next one. The next one is you become an emotional stable. You become a model of emotional stability when you know how to support your children emotionally. And yes, it is your job as a parent, as a teacher, it is your job as a parent to teach your children emotional regulation. So when you put yourself in that space where you understand that as their parents, I am their model, they are going to repeat and replicate what it is that they see me do. So what do? You go and learn and you go and work on yourself. And so after doing that, you come with your full chest and you model emotional regulation to your children. Which teaching do you think is bigger than the fact that your children or the people under your tutelage know how to express themselves, know how to pass their they know how to express themselves, they know how to communicate with other people, they know how to resolve their conflicts, they know how to pass the message about how they feel per time, they know all of this, they know how to be calm in the face of chaos, they know how to be calm when some other person is being is out of order. What do you think is bigger than this? All right. When you know how to do this and you pass this down to your children, and your children can regulate like this, do you know how much learning your children will achieve just because they know how to regulate their emotions? Can you beat in a class where a child throws a tantrum every time they don't feel good about something? Just imagine what that does to the child, and the child's learning for that day, and how that even affects other children in the classroom, right? I remember back then when I was full-time in the classroom, how the child can be all that, can go all crazy and all of that. And the policy was that you can send the child out of the classroom. So as a teacher, you will have to learn how to help your child manage their emotions right there in your classroom. You have to learn how to help the child manage those tantrums and deal with those tantrums. So on your own as a teacher, it means that you will need to have real good emotional stability for you to manage a child who is throwing a fit or who is throwing a bad tantrum in the classroom, so that the child is able to learn and the child does not affect other children in the class or disrupt their learning also. So yes, as a parent, think about that you know how to manage your child's emotions and you know how to model how to regulate their emotions, and by doing this you teach your child how to regulate their emotions, and then your child becomes that child who knows how to handle their their big emotions. They know how to handle when they feel poorly, they know how to handle all of these such that they have the techniques or they have the tools that they need to be calm even when they are going through an emotional turmoil. What is bigger? What other teaching is bigger than you doing this? Parents, you are a teacher. You know how to teach. All you need to do is know your role and know what you have the capacity for. And I tell you, you have the capacity to teach your children emotional regulation, to teach them management, I mean, manage them in your space. That's the way the teacher learns to manage their students with the right emotional, regulation. Many teachers don't even have it, yet you can have it. So if you have it better than that teacher, so why is that teacher more of a teacher than you are a teacher? All right. This is not to trivialize teachers. I am just trying to say that you can also teach your child. For those 2 hours, 1 hour that they come home, right, you can teach them. And that's not all. It's not about the academics. You can teach your children in all of these other areas that we're talking about. You can model to your child the mindset that you want to see in your child. You can model the right mindset by your convictions, by your beliefs, by your ideologies, by your all the things that your values. You can model all of these, your values, your convictions, your beliefs, your ideologies. When you put all of this and you teach this to your children, create a system and a structure, and you create a curriculum in your home where you can step down all of this as a legacy. What do you think you are doing? You are teaching. Did God not say, God, I trust that Abraham would teach this to his children? Dear parents, you are your child's first teacher. You are your child's most important teacher. So yes, if you can teach your child emotional regulation, you can teach your child discipline, you can teach your child, you can model, you can model the mindset, the right mindset to your child. You can do all of this. Then what is teaching your child math or English? What is that? You can also teach them this. And how do you do this? You do this by helping your children build the right approach or the right behavior around learning. All right. So when you let your children, as I said, you have created a positive environment for learning in your home. You have created the structure and the system and the routine where the children will read or they study every day. You have created a system where your children read for leisure. You have created a system where your children know there is time for everything. And then in that system, you are there to ensure that the children are doing the right thing. And when you notice that the child is struggling with a concept, an idea, what do? You look at it, you can't do it, you send the child back to the teacher, and then you are intentional enough to drop a note and say, Anna is struggling with this concept. Miss Marlin, could you look at it again and see if you can explain it to her? And if there's any way you think I can help at home, could you send me a note so that I know how to go about it? Parents, you're a teacher. You're teaching already. All right, so these are the things that we're talking about. Lastly, connect learning to real-life experiences. When your children come with whatever they have learned in school, create a system in your home where you are reinforcing. We used to do this when our children were younger a lot. We had a lot of models in our home. We will create models. We will replicate what they've done in school. We will create experiments out of it. We'll create something that is hands-on and something that the children can relate to their learning. While we were doing this, we were bonding with the children. We were making them understand the positive, we're creating a positive learning environment in our home. We're creating a lot of stimulation in our home. We were bonding together. We were helping them become lifelong learners. And so today, we do not have to struggle with our children studying. I don't know. I can't remember the last time. I don't even study with my 9-year-old, not to talk about my 15-year-old, almost 15-year-old. I can't remember the last time I looked at the book that our son is using in school. Year 4, year 5, I don't know. He just wrote BC and wrote IGC, and wrote Cambridge checkpoints and came out with excellent result. And I don't even know how he went about it. I don't even know what he read. I don't know. I just know what he's studying. And I say, well done. And other times I'm like, have you studied today? And it's like, got that mommy and all of that. That's all I know, right? These are the things that I know. And that's because the work was done when the work was needed to be done. All right? I'm going to leave you right there. Now we do this and we're here supporting children and supporting their parents, right? In our mastermind program, we run an accountability program and mentorship and accountability program for parents, for children rather, between 6 and 13-year-olds, right? We run this program for them. And in this program, of course, we are there working with the children. And so the parents by extension. And so through this program, we're able to pass down all of these things that we talk about in this show to your children, so that your children are living out, not just us talking, but they are living out these things that we share in these classes. And so we can work with your children, hold your hands, support you, and as a team, as collaborators, we're able to help the children achieve these things that we're talking. If you'd like to be a part of the Mastermind Circle, we have the information scrolling on your screen. Go ahead and grab the information and use it to register. We're enrolling right now. We have started the new cohort, but we're still taking in people. So you want to jump in before we stop registration. It's less than 6,000 naira per month, dear parents. The mastermind for an entire year is just 70,000 naira. How much do you pay your lesson teacher? Again, all right. Now the mastermind is affordable for something that is so effective and so productive. So you want your child to be a part of this circle, I promise you. All right, use the information or send us a message on 081 30621 to know how to go about registering, or you can check in the comment section and you will have it right there. Thank you for joining me again today. I'll be back here tomorrow again at 7 p.m. where we'll be answering another question on how can I support my child series. Have a fantastic day. God bless you. Bye. Okay, have a good night. God